Ever get that feeling like your job is going the way of the dodo? Like, poof, gone. Well, get ready, because today we're diving into a list of 10 jobs that have already gone extinct.
Extinct. Like, you literally can't get these jobs today, no matter how hard you try.
It's kind of a fascinating look back, isn't it? But also maybe a little, makes you think about the future.
Exactly. And that's exactly why we're exploring this list from Listverse. It's called 10 Odd Jobs That You Can't Get Today.
Right, right.
And it's more than just a quirky history lesson, though.
Yeah.
It's about how work has always been in flux. You know, what we do, how we do it, it's all constantly evolving.
So true. So true.
Always changing.
So before we get into the specifics of like these crazy jobs,
Yes.
let's set the stage a bit.
Yeah.
I think it's important to acknowledge that technology displacing jobs, it's taking over jobs,
Yeah.
isn't some new phenomenon.
This
has been going on.
Change is the only constant, right?
Yeah.
This list is less about feeling nostalgic for the good old days.
Yeah.
And more about recognizing the patterns of work throughout history.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right, you ready to jump into our first vanished job?
Let's do it.
All right, we're going way back in time here, folks. Before podcasts even, before radio even.
Oh, wow.
To the world of the cigar factory lector.
Ah, yes. Imagine this. You're on a factory floor surrounded by, the sounds of machinery.
Well, yeah.
And the smell of tobacco.
Sure.
And someone is reading aloud to you all day.
Ah.
All day long.
Like just reading.
Reading?
But this sounds...
They'd read novels.
It sounds almost surreal.
Newspapers.
It's fascinating to think about how entertainment...
Political pamphlets.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
It was once such an integral part of the workday.
It speaks volumes about the social dynamics of the time, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
This wasn't just about keeping workers entertained.
Right.
It was about, controlling the narrative, shaping their worldview, and fostering a sense of community.
Right.
In a highly regimented environment.
That's a really interesting point.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder about the trade-offs, right?
For sure.
On the one hand, you've got this shared experience, the sense of connection through storytelling.
Right.
But on the other hand, there's a clear power dynamic at play.
Exactly. And it raises questions about how we think about work-life balance today. Right?
Oh, for sure.
Are we truly more autonomous in our modern workplaces?
Yeah.
Or have the lines simply blurred in a different way?
Oh, that's a good question.
Right.
Yeah.
It is.
Something to think about.
Okay, so from the world of literary entertainment, let's shift gears
Okay.
to a job that might seem a bit more mundane at first glance.
Okay.
The pin setter.
Ah,
Yeah.
pin setter.
Before the days of those automated machines at the bowling alley,
Yeah.
setting up those pins was a manual job,
Right.
often done by teenagers.
I never even thought about that.
It was repetitive, sure, but it required a certain level of skill and coordination.
I'm sure all those pins all the time.
Yeah, and it really represents one of the early stages of automation.
Right, right.
I mean, the pin setter's a perfect example of a job that was ultimately replaced by technology.
It's like the poster child for it,
Exactly, and it's a transition that continues to play out today,
Mm-hmm.
only on a much larger scale.
Of course.
The anxieties around job displacement,
Oh,
the
yeah.
fear of machines taking over human roles, those concerns were present even back then.
It's almost like a microcosm of, the larger debates we're having now about AI and the future of work.
Exactly.
So what can we learn from the humble pin setter?
Well, I think it reminds us that technology is a double-edged sword, right?
Sure.
It can eliminate jobs, yes, but it also creates new ones.
Right.
The question is, are we prepared for the shifts that are coming?
Yeah.
And are we investing in the education and training needed for the jobs of the future?
Ooh, those are some big questions.
Big questions to ponder.
Yeah, but let's keep moving through our list of vanished jobs.
Okay.
Next up, we're going back to a time before electricity was commonplace.
Okay.
Back to the world of the lamplighter.
Imagine a city illuminated by gaslight.
Oh, wow.
Every evening, the lamplighter would make his rounds, climbing ladders and lighting each lamp individually.
Wow.
It was a physically demanding job,
Oh, I bet.
but also one that required a keen sense of timing and a deep knowledge of the city streets.
There's something almost romantic about it, isn't there?
It is. It's like a different time.
The flickering gas lights, the quiet streets, the solitary figure of the lamplighter.
It's a world that's hard to imagine today.
It really is.
It's a reminder of how technology has transformed not just the way we work, but also the way we experience our environment,
I know it is.
The invention of electric light brought about a revolution in urban life, making cities safer, brighter, and more dynamic.
And yeah, I mean, so easy to take those conveniences for granted.
For sure.
Now, speaking of conveniences, our next vanished job is one that makes me appreciate modern refrigeration even more.
Okay.
The ice cutter.
Ah, yes.
Long before refrigerators were commonplace,
Right.
ice was a precious commodity,
It was.
harvested from frozen lakes and rivers.
Yeah, they would use saws and horses to cut these large blocks of ice.
Wow.
And then they would transport them and store them for use throughout the year.
It sounds incredibly labor-intensive and kind of dangerous.
It was.
I can only imagine the logistical challenges
Yeah,
involved in transporting and storing ice before modern refrigeration.
absolutely. It was a vital industry,
Wow.
essential for food preservation, medical care, even brewing.
Wow.
The ice cutter played a crucial role in daily life, connecting rural communities to urban centers,
Yeah.
shaping the very fabric of society.
It's amazing to think about the interconnectedness of it all,
Yeah.
How something as seemingly simple as ice could have such a profound impact on so many aspects of life.
Right. And I mean, it just shows you how everything is really connected.
Yeah, so true.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to a couple of jobs that focused on connecting people, then and now.
Okay. Sounds good.
First up is the switchboard operator.
Ah, the human touch in the age of telecommunication.
Right.
Before smartphones and automated systems, every phone call was routed through a switchboard,
I remember these vaguely.
operated by skilled and often overlooked women.
It's easy to, romanticize it now,
Yeah.
but it was a demanding job requiring sharp memory, quick reflexes, and a knack for problem solving.
It was.
These women were like the unsung heroes of communication,
They were.
connecting families, businesses, even emergency services.
It's a reminder that technology doesn't always eliminate the need for human skills.
Right.
In fact, it often creates new demands for specialized knowledge and adaptability. The switchboard operator, in a way, foreshadowed the rise of customer service roles,
Oh, yeah.
where human interaction and empathy remain vital.
That's a great point. Okay, let's lighten things up a bit with our next vanished job, the knocker-up.
Okay.
This one might sound like something out of, like, a Dickens novel or something.
It does have a certain charm to it, doesn't it?
Imagine a time before alarm clocks were commonplace.
Right.
If you needed to wake up at a specific time, you might hire a knocker-up.
Yeah.
And their job was to, walk the streets and rap on windows with a long stick.
Or even shoot peas at your window
What, peas? Yeah.
to rouse you from your slumber.
To get you up and at 'em.
It sounds almost comical,
It does.
but it actually reveals a lot about the pace of life back then.
It does.
Slower, more community-oriented,
For sure.
and perhaps a bit more trusting, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. The knocker-up was a symbol of a time when people relied on their neighbors, when personal connections played a more prominent role in daily life.
So different from today.
It's a stark contrast to our modern world of,
Yeah.
atomization and
Yeah.
digital isolation. So we've gone from literary entertainment to automated bowling alleys to gaslit streets and pre-refrigeration ice harvesting to human-powered phone connections.
It's quite a journey.
And even wake-up calls on demand.
I know, right?
It's quite a journey through the history of work, wouldn't you say?
It certainly is. And we've only just scratched the surface.
There's more.
But before we delve into the next set of vanished jobs,
Okay.
let's take a moment to reflect on what we've learned so far.
So what's the big takeaway here?
Yeah.
What can these seemingly disparate jobs teach us about the nature of work itself?
Well, I think the key takeaway is that work is constantly evolving.
Mm-hmm.
Technology plays a role, but so do social norms, economic forces, and even our own perceptions of what constitutes work.
It's both exciting and a little bit daunting, isn't it?
It is.
To think that the jobs we do today might be unimaginable to future generations.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important to be adaptable,
Mm-hmm.
to embrace lifelong learning,
Right.
and to be open to new possibilities.
I like-
But don't worry, we'll delve into all of that and more as we continue our deep dive into the fascinating world of vanished jobs.
Yes, stay tuned, folks.
Fabulous.
We've got more surprises in store for you, including some jobs that are not just quirky, but also reveal some of the darker sides of history.
That's right.
Until next time, keep those minds engaged.
Keep thinking. All right, so are you ready to explore some vanished jobs from the service industry?
Oh, yeah, let's do it.
We're going back to a time when soda fountains were like
Okay.
a social hub
Mm-hmm.
and a source of handcrafted delights.
Oh, I love this one.
Yeah.
The soda jerk, forget your modern-day soda dispensers.
Oh, yeah.
These folks were like masters of the fountain,
They were artists.
mixing syrups, creating fizzy concoctions,
Yeah.
serving up sweet treats with like a theatrical flair.
It wasn't just about pouring a drink.
Oh.
They had to understand, the chemistry of carbonation, the balance of flavors,
Yeah.
and the art of presentation.
It really was like a performance almost.
It was.
A spectacle that like added a touch of magic to everyday life.
And, it's interesting to consider the social aspect too, right?
Oh, for sure.
The soda fountain was a gathering place,
Mhm.
a spot to, catch up with friends, share news,
Yeah.
and enjoy a refreshing treat.
It was a very different kind of service industry than what we're used to today.
It really was, and it speaks to a time when even seemingly mundane jobs could hold a certain level of artistry and pride.
Right.
It wasn't just a transaction.
Yeah.
It was an interaction, a connection between the server and the served.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder if we've lost something in our like pursuit of efficiency and automation.
Yeah.
Sure, we have convenience,
Oh,
but
yeah.
have we sacrificed some of the human touch, the personal connection that used to be so integral to even the simplest of services?
It's a question worth pondering for sure.
It is.
Yeah.
Speaking of social interactions,
Okay.
let's move on to a job that was very much tied to a specific time and place. The cigarette girl.
Ah, yes.
Picture this. Okay. Smoky nightclubs, jazz music filling the air,
Okay, I'm there.
and like a glamorous woman weaving through the tables, offering cigarettes from a tray.
Oh, yeah, it's an image straight out of old Hollywood movies.
Isn't it?
Yeah,
It was a job that reflected the social norms of the time,
for sure.
when smoking was not only commonplace, but often seen as like,
Sophisticated.
alluring.
Yeah,
The cigarette girl was part of the nightlife scene,
right.
a symbol of a more carefree and perhaps less health-conscious era.
Well, yeah, I mean, things have definitely changed.
They have.
It's fascinating how
Yeah.
jobs can reflect broader societal attitudes and trends.
Sure.
It's like a cultural snapshot frozen in time.
Absolutely.
But as we know, times change,
Mm-hmm.
attitudes shift,
Yeah.
and some jobs, like the cigarette girl,
Right.
fade into the smoke of history.
And now we're going to step into some territory that's a bit less glamorous.
And frankly, a lot more unsettling.
All right.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is where our list of vanished jobs takes a darker turn.
it does.
We're going from quirky
Yeah.
to downright tragic with our next job,
Okay.
the powder monkey.
Imagine this. Young boys,
Okay.
often as young as 8 or 9,
Oh, wow.
working on warships,
Yeah.
their tiny hands carrying gunpowder to the cannons.
That's, oh my God.
It's a job that sends shivers down your spine just thinking about it.
It really does.
Yeah.
It's a stark reminder of a time when child labor was not only accepted, but often seen as essential.
It was.
And these boys faced unimaginable danger.
They did.
Their lives constantly at risk in the midst of naval warfare.
And, the powder monkey's role wasn't just about carrying gunpowder.
Right.
It was about speed, agility,
Yeah.
obedience in the most extreme of circumstances.
Oh my God.
It was a job that demanded a level of maturity and bravery that no child should ever have to possess.
That's awful.
It's a harrowing glimpse into a chapter of history that we shouldn't shy away from.
Right.
It forces us to confront, the exploitation and injustice that were often woven into the fabric of work in the past.
It's a reminder that progress isn't always linear,
Sure.
and that vigilance is needed to protect the most vulnerable members of society.
Well said.
And unfortunately, our final vanished job is perhaps the most disturbing of all.
It is a tough one.
The baby farmer.
Oof, yeah.
It's a term that sounds almost innocent,
It does.
but the reality is far more sinister.
This wasn't about raising livestock.
Right.
It was about taking in unwanted babies.
Right.
Often for a fee.
Yeah.
With promises of care and adoption.
But the truth is, many of these children face neglect, abuse, even death.
It's just heartbreaking.
It's a heart-wrenching example of how a lack of social safety nets, coupled with, societal stigma and desperation,
Right.
could create the conditions for such horrific practices to flourish.
The baby farmer's role exposes a dark underbelly of history. A time when the lives of infants were often seen as disposable, particularly those born outside of marriage or into poverty.
Right. And that's a chilling reminder
It is.
of the consequences of societal indifference
Mm-hmm.
and the importance of fighting for the rights of the most vulnerable among us.
Very well said.
Okay, so we've journeyed through like a range of vanished jobs here,
We have.
from the quirky and entertaining to the dangerous and deeply unsettling.
It's been a roller coaster.
It has been a roller coaster of emotions,
For sure.
but I think it's been a valuable journey nonetheless.
I agree.
By exploring these forgotten roles,
Yeah.
we gain a deeper understanding of how work has evolved
Mm-hmm.
and how societal values have shifted over time.
So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive,
Okay.
what are some of the key takeaways you hope our listeners are pondering?
Well, I think it's important to remember that work is not static.
Mm.
It's a constantly evolving reflection of our technological advancements, our social norms, and our economic realities.
And that evolution, while often driven by progress, can also bring about new challenges and ethical dilemmas.
Exactly. As we move further into the age of automation and artificial intelligence,
Right.
it's crucial that we consider not just what jobs will disappear,
Mm-hmm.
but also what kind of future of work we want to create.
I love that.
A future that's not just efficient, but also equitable, fulfilling, and
Well,
human-centered.
It's tall order, but I have faith that we can learn from the past, even the unsettling parts,
Yeah,
and use those lessons to shape a better future for everyone.
absolutely. You know, as we've been talking about all these vanished jobs, it struck me that there's a common thread running through them all.
Oh, yeah.
Beyond just like the changes in technology or societal norms,
Yeah.
it's the human element.
Ah,
So many of these jobs, even the ones that were, dangerous or exploitative,
yeah.
involved a level of like human interaction and skill that we
yeah.
just don't see in the same way today.
That's a really insightful observation.
Huh.
Think about, cigar factory lector,
Right.
bringing stories and shared experiences to the factory floor,
Right.
or the switchboard operator, like a vital human link
Yeah.
in a world without instant communication.
Yeah.
Even the knocker-up, relying on personal relationships and trust within a community.
Exactly.
Wow.
And while we certainly wouldn't want to like romanticize the past
Right.
or bring back some of these jobs, especially the ones that were harmful,
Yeah.
it does make you wonder,
Yeah.
in our quest for like efficiency and automation, have we lost something valuable along the way?
It raises a crucial question about the balance between technological progress and the human experience.
Mm-hmm.
As we, venture further into this era of AI and automation,
Yeah.
we can't just focus on what jobs might vanish.
Right.
We need to think about what aspects of, human connection, craftsmanship,
Yeah.
and even just like the simple satisfaction of a job well done
Right.
might be impacted.
It's a challenge,
It is,
no doubt.
but it's also an incredible opportunity.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
We can use technology to create new kinds of jobs, new ways of connecting with each other, for
Right,
sure, avenues for, finding meaning and purpose in our work.
I agree.
So, before we wrap up this deep dive,
Okay.
I want to leave our listener with a final thought here.
All right.
What role will you play in shaping this future of work?
Ooh.
What unique skills, talents, or perspectives do you bring to the table?
That's something for all of us to ponder,
Hmm.
as we navigate this ever-evolving world.
Yeah.
Keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those minds engaged.
And on that note,
Yeah.
we'll sign off for today.
Sounds good.
Until next time, keep diving deep.